Yay,
And here
go.
we go. So, hi and welcome. Now, I am so looking forward to this conversation today because it is with somebody who I spoke to a while ago. And let me just go live and connect. Right, we should be.
I believe you're live. I see a
Yes,
live
yes,
button.
yes, yes, yes. Yes. So, as I was saying, I'm extremely pleased to be having this conversation today. And normally we would have like a whole sort of like questions, but we're going to go with the flow today because I'm with someone today who is an amazing person who has an amazing story and has so much background. And she had recently, I think, which is really good for everybody to hear and listen to in this group, is she's recently sort of shifted and changed directions in her business, and I want to hear all about it. And I'm going to welcome to the room Risma, and I'm not even going to attempt to say your surname because for English people to pronounce Dutch stuff, we just can't do it. We just can't do it. So maybe you could introduce you and your business and just say hi to everyone who's watching this.
Yeah, so thank you, Laura. And hi to everyone. My name is Risma Thakoerdat. It is actually Dutch, but the roots are Indian. So,
Okay.
yes. And uh, I find it so difficult to put myself in a box, but who I am and what I'm doing. But now I shifted back to being a feminine embodiment coach and an inner work coach.
Mm, mm.
So that's it in a little tiny box in a few sentences, and you will hear more about this. So thank you for being here, and let's start this journey.
Yeah, and thank you for being here too. So just for the people who kind of like, what's a female embodiment coach? What does that actually mean practically? How do you help people, and what do you do in that box? Which I know you don't sit in boxes. I don't think I do either. I don't think many entrepreneurs sit in boxes, but
Yeah,
we give ourselves these labels so people are like, oh,
so,
right, that's what you do. I need
yeah,
one of those. I need
yeah.
some of that, right? So just tell
Okay.
us a bit about what you do.
Let me do an attempt to explain what I'm doing because it seems like it is really simple, but what I'm doing is also really difficult to explain. But I
Okay.
will explain. So a feminine embodiment coach. It's the feminine is we have the feminine energy, the masculine energy, and the feminine. One of the feminine skills is doing the inner work, tapping into the energy, and inner work is like the feminine part. So, feminine embodiment coach is me as a coach going into your feminine energy and
Mm,
allowing you to embody that part that you have suppressed, that you ignore, that you that you think it's feminine, but actually your wounded part is running the show. And
mm,
I am here to help you see all the layers you have put on that feminine
mm,
energy, and most of the time it is to suppress that part. Uh, to allow yourself to release those parts so that you can connect to your most authentic feminine part and embody that part.
mm.
So that is my version of feminine embodiment coach. I'm not like the feminine, like, okay, let's do the sacred chakra, the breath. Yes, I do breath work and I do all the things, but this is the core part of my work is going in, and in is the feminine part. So
Yeah.
that's what I do.
I mean, it's actually it's a subject very much on my mind at the moment, and I think there are lots of different tools to sort of do the work,
Yeah.
but actually, what's interesting is like what is the um, what are the results, and what is causing some of that stuff. And it's interesting you say like that sort of inner feminine energy that well, not all females, but most females would be like, I feel feminine energy and I show up as feminine energy. But one of the things that I'm discovering is in a different context is how we layer things. We compress things down and we put all these layers on, and to the point where we're disconnected from it. I think maybe that's the word. You're like totally disconnected, and when you think about, how am I feeling, you're kind of like, I don't know. I'm so, I'm sort of disconnected from that. And I think that's, to me, that's what it means, is really reconnecting with your true self. I think you said your true self, or your your
Authentic self.
authentic
Yeah.
self.
Self. Yeah. And that's also really wonderful description of disconnection. And
Mm,
my focus is on high achievers, on hyper independent women, because I was one of them.
mm,
And knowing, like thinking, like, oh, I am in my feminine energy. But
mm,
in my journey, and that's why I had to change businesses in between, I discovered that what we think of what the feminine is, that is the what we have learned from others. That is
mm.
what we are perceiving because we have had all the information from other people
Yeah.
and the society, what it like should mean to be feminine, what it like should
Mm,
mean to be all in that, not women, but in that feminine energy. And so that's and I feel still like now it's like, oh, it's actually sometimes a bit difficult to explain, because our perception of what feminine energy is and our own experience of our own authentic energy is so different, that when
mm,
you are stuck in your mind, that you're like, yeah, no, it doesn't add up.
mm,
Um and I'm here to shine a light on that, to shine a light on the systems, on your inner work system, on your control systems that are actually leading, controlling you.
mm. It's interesting you choose, or you focus on high achievers, and I think that again, I've sort of worked with women in these areas. I've been one of those women in these areas, so I can relate personally, and I can relate, and I see a lot of people that I've worked with in the past. I think the lots of times the energy that you're
Mhm.
in these kind of high performing environments is very male to start with, right? Because they're full of guys with lots of male energy that you have to. I always think women in those environments, the ones that succeed well, are women who borrow bits of male behavior to perform in certain situations, but hold on to their feminine side as well. And lots of women in those environments sort of feel like they have to be this sort of macho male version of themselves, and they
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
lose who they are, and they get to they get to a point and they're just like, oh my god, I've just lost all exactly what you're talking about. I've lost all connection with my authentic self, and that the environment has created this version of me,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I'm also, thank you for sharing, because I relate. I have been that woman too, like high
Mm,
achiever, and
mm,
perhaps not like in the way society describes high achiever, but I have that. I have that attempt till I discover some parts like, oh, MG,
mm,
still there. It is so deeply ingrained, and
mm, mm,
we are so, we have been so focused in society to um, to perform,
mm,
and especially when you have wounded feminine energy, when you have been hurt, and your that part, performance part, can take over. Like, okay, I will just take care of myself. I will allow no one in, and
mm,
um, I'll do it by myself and become like hyper independent. And this actually, when I discovered, like, okay, the performance part is one thing, needing, it's not only like needing that validation, Because for a long while, I'll believe like, oh, I need validation. And I was just focused on validating myself, building that self-confidence. But actually, I have to, not sure, is that you?
No, go on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So,
Sorry, you were talking and I didn't think you'd finished. I thought you were carrying on. You were talking about validation.
yeah, but there was some interruption. So I was like, okay. So,
Oh, okay. Maybe it's my mic. So excuse me,
okay, okay, yeah.
mic.
So now I can hear you. So,
Please be
yeah.
quiet.
So long time. I believe I was just looking for validation, like the performance is about validation, about high achieving and validation and again and again and again. But what I discovered really sad made me sad because it's not only about validation, but actually the need to feel safe.
Mm,
And because when I could feel safe, I would like open up. And
yeah.
that brought me to my journey of the soft life, the
Mm,
opening up, opening all parts. And I had to visit all areas of life
mhm,
to find all parts of me that were confronted.
mm, mm.
I think your mic is again.
Should be fine. Maybe it's mine. So sorry. Let me move that. Is that better?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here. So I hope listeners
Carry
who are
on.
here
I'm
have
sorry.
a lot of interruption in this. But that is what I found. Like, okay, it is not actually about um, like we do the surface work of the
Mm,
inner child, of the validation, but this feminine work is really deep, going into those parts where there feels like there is no safety.
mm.
And
I'm interested to know, and you describe it so beautifully. And I think anybody watching this, who relates to what you're talking about, including me,
yeah.
it's like, oh gosh, it's so true. It resonates with us.
Mhm.
I'm interested to know, what do people, so I'm going to ask you about where you get people to, which is, the
Yeah.
cool stuff. But actually, what do people come with you? What do they come to you with? Sorry. So what do they like? Do they come and say, I need some feminine embodiment? Or do they come with like, I'm so stressed? How do they come into your world in the first place? What are they thinking and feeling?
Well, in the first place, my work is about empowerment.
Mm,
In the beginning, they came to me like, I want to feel empowered.
mm,
I don't feel empowered and don't like feel even understanding who I am. That was the first journey of my work. And
mm,
then it evolved like more into and then I started attracting more high achievers like a charisma. I really resonate with you. I have achieved a lot of things, but I don't feel that fulfillment in life. I
mm,
still have so many struggles. From the outside, it seems like
mm,
wonderful, the
mm.
perfect picture. But from the inside, I really feel like a mess and
Yeah.
insecure. So and that's what most high achievers come to me like, and also with like the other problem is like I also do family constellations, so a
Mm,
lot of family work. Like, and there are also women come to me like, I have a beautiful business built on that independent part, but
mm,
my family is a mess. My relationships are a mess.
mm,
So
mm.
that's
It's
uh,
like one area is good and the other areas are struggling. And I'm interested to know, because you're not the first person that has described this, and I've looked at this from a kind of offer perspective as well, where I feel like it's like once you get to 40, women get to 40, and
mhm.
they're kind of starting to ask themselves, like, is this what I want? Am I doing what I want? Is it, and there's lots of women, I don't know. And there's lots of women with that perfect outside lifestyle. And I always say that you just don't know what's going on behind closed doors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You just don't know what's going on. And I don't think very rarely do you meet people who are like, yeah, everything's perfect. And I just wonder, and I'm just like thinking out loud, is I feel like the world that we're living in now, like the social media world, which paints this picture of perfection and what we should look like, how we should feel, what we should be doing, what we should be wearing, what we should be watching, who we should be hanging out with, we should be writing books, we should be making movies, all these things. And it feels like we've all got ourselves to this point where we're just like dying inside and going, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not happy. I'm not, maybe before the world of social media, which kind of, it's not that those feelings weren't there. It's like it kind of just escalates all of those emotions because it's coming at us all of the time, right?
Yeah. So totally agree. I had the same journey. Let me just first start. My burnout was in my 40s, and I had that moment like, okay, I'm divorced and build up my life, but is this my life? I'm not happy with all the things I should have: the home, the kids, the job, all of the things. Like, oh, but I'm not happy, and I quit my job to just perceive vision. But when I was doing things, I started like when COVID hits, it's
COVID,
2020. And
yeah.
indeed, what you're saying was like, but who am I? Look
Mm.
at those other coaches living at the sea, at the beach, and all the things. And yes, they are successful.
Yeah.
I am just really simple. I really struggled a long while for that, and because I'm so family oriented, I am a single mom with my two sons. Love my mom, and we spend a lot of time together. And I'm
Mm.
like, okay, but this is just me, and I
Mm.
know my value, what I give. But social media really gets to that point where that triggers, and
Mm.
really triggers that part of you that feels like I'm not good enough. Oh, I
Mm.
should be doing more, especially when you are a high achiever. That part
Mm.
of you gets triggered easily. Like,
Mm.
oh, wait, I still do need to learn more and do more and be more and whatever, do more, like in the doing more.
Mm.
And I learned in the last few years to be
Mm.
be more in the being instead
Mm.
of doing. I still catch myself. Today I had a thought like,
Mm.
oh, if I do that, I'll be like, oh no, no, no. I
Yeah.
don't have to do to be.
Mm.
That is what social media yeah,
Creates
creates.
that
Yeah.
feeling. And actually, I think also, and I, and again, I always seem to be like relating it to my life. But I when I look back, I was definitely definitely a high achiever, definitely an obsessive. And so my response, it's like if you put all this stuff in front of me, then I'm going to do it in extreme. So you kind
Mhm.
of go on hyperdrive, and you're sort of, I've got to be doing all of this stuff. And I think, saying like just sitting in yourself and being yourself and working out if you are the person that you
Yeah.
want to be, or you even like yourself, or
Yeah.
you are connected with yourself, is kind of what it's all about at the end, isn't it? Because you're with you and your, whether you're with your partner or your kids or whatever the setup is, you can only really connect with other people when you are feeling connected with yourself, I
Yeah.
guess. And that's
Yeah.
really what it is you sell, is that sort of authentic connection with, with yourself, so that
Mhm.
you can then go on and do whatever you like, which leads nicely, not intentionally, but nicely, into my next question.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Which was, so once people go through your system, your
Mhm.
experience, everything that you do, talk about what do we get on the other side of it? Tell me more about
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
what
yeah.
happens.
What they do, the outcome actually is that they learn how to be with themselves. It's like what
Mm,
you said, how to be with yourself, um, how to deal. First, my big focus, a big part of my work is to focus on emotions because that's the way you know how you feel, how to
mm,
deal with like these big, overwhelming emotions. I
mm,
learn women to drop into their limitations, into the overwhelmment, into those big feelings.
mm,
So the outcome is one of the outcomes is that they are not afraid anymore about, oh, yes, it's an emotion. I get to control is not the right word, but I know how to work with that. I know how to deal with that. I know that. It's
mm.
so they step into the knowing, and that gives them self confidence. Like, okay, I'm not afraid anymore. I don't have to suppress. I don't have to repress
Yeah.
that. I don't have to control that, like, and keep myself. Yes, I don't have.
Yeah.
There's one big, like, most the perhaps the biggest part of my work, really, how to deal with emotions and not deal, how to transmute emotion. So you
Mm,
have the emotion like overwhelmed. So what is the wisdom from that overwhelmed?
mm,
What is your body telling you? So I work a lot with the body. That is the
mm,
wisdom. So they get to like really know themselves from the inside out. Their
mm,
emotion, the body, each contraction, each tightness, each
yeah.
sensation in their body. I guide them in this like in my one-on-one journey, and they and at the end they know like, okay, the transformation is so powerful. At the end I always see the highest version of them, like, oh my
Mm,
god, did we really do that? Whether
yes.
it is 3 months
Yeah.
or it is 6 months, they
Yeah.
show up in the highest self. And what also a big accompanying outcome is the deep self-love they experience. Like, okay,
Mm, mm,
actually, uh, this it's not only the safety, they feel safe with the emotions, but a deep sense of self-love, knowing
mm,
like actually all they feel is a need to be loved more in those parts. So yes, I can tell you that is shadow work, but this is actually the outcome, showing up in their highest self, knowing who they are, knowing
mm,
how to deal with themselves, not being afraid anymore, and loving themselves so much more.
mm. I'm like, my brain is like, I want to write the offer. I want to write it's so I'm just like, oh, it's so it's so liberating, I
Yeah,
think. And I
yeah,
think for
yeah,
women as well. I'm sure there are guys out there as well who have to go through this journey as well. But
yeah, 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 for sure.
I think for women, we kind of almost adapt, we mold, and I think over time we perhaps lose ourselves in kind of life, maybe life environment experience, and that feeling of like safety and self-love, and it's so compelling and it's so attractive
Yeah,
that
well,
when you meet people like that, you're just like, they're magnetic, right? They're magnetic. And I don't mean that in a kind of, a sexual attraction, although it could be that, but just in like, it's like this magnetic attraction that people have when they really have dug deep into really loving themselves and being vulnerable and sitting in those emotions and all of that stuff, which really liberates women. And you kind of get this invincibility feeling because you know you're going to be okay whatever happens, right?
yes, yes, yes,
It's kind
that
of like,
is
I know I'm
proof.
going to be okay, so I'm
Yeah,
going to do it anyway. And I
yeah.
think whether that is in business, personal life, relationships, how whatever it is, that's
Mhm.
the thread, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't put a price on it. I couldn't you couldn't put a price on it, but how you could value it, and I, again, I'm like thinking offers, how you could value it is kind of, what does it cost to
Yeah.
stay where you are? And
Well,
time
yes. That
the
is one way to say
right?
it. Yes, yes, that's one way.
Time
And
is such a factor for me. I've just been talking to someone about this today, that it's like, what, how much time has to go on by
mm,
before you really can sit in those emotions to open those doors for you. And I feel like I'd love as a customer, I'd love it if you could just put it into a little pill and I took it, but I know that's not.
yes.
I'd be like,
Here's my hand. That's a pill.
that would be the fast social media way, wouldn't it? The fast
Yeah,
social, but
yeah.
actually the experience that you have to go through to get yourself out into the other side is so empowering. I think your words that, yeah, I love it. I want it. I'm like, I'm sold already. So
Yes.
if people want to find out more about you, how do they find you? What do they do if they're interested in what you've got? Tell us how to connect with you.
Well, they can find me on my social medias, Facebook, Instagram. It's now in Dutch, but I will be turning that back
Yes.
to English. So please please have
Patient.
some patience with me. But you can always send me a DM like, Risma, I saw you on this interview and I'm
Yeah.
interested because I love to work with you. If this my intention is that this reaches the women who really needs it,
Mm,
and um, because I know what I've been through to be here and do the
mm,
work, how wonderful the work is. You just mentioned like you become magnetic, and actually, what happens is you become such a safe space that people feel your energetic field, and they relax in your
like,
yeah,
yeah.
they relax
Yeah.
in your presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is one of my biggest vision is like a slogan of mine is will be I'm just working on it is to be
Cool.
to impact the world with my soft power, soft life. And
Yeah.
soft power is just your oh wow, thank you, Krista. And soft power is just um, having the braveness and the audacity to open yourself up widely and
Mm,
move with vulnerability, even knowing like you could be hurt,
mm,
but still moving on because you love life.
mm,
You love to experience, you love your higher visions, and you know that you are here for something bigger and to live all those experiences. So that is what my vision is. Um, so if that is you, if you feel like attracted to what to me, to my energy, to what I'm doing, please send me a DM.
mm. And we're gonna put all the links in
Thank you.
bottom and all of that stuff. And it just like I could go on to the whole energy thing and all that, but I think the whole package is it just sounds incredible. And I'm sure lots of people watching this who have any connection with what you've been saying today would love to get in touch and connect with you. And as you said, when I look at your posts and stuff and I'm like, I don't understand any of that, but when they but that doesn't matter, right? That doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Like
you
connect
can
with
translate that. You can just translate it to Dutch.
my brain goes, what? But yes, 100%. So thank you so much for being here. It's been great to speak with you. I'm really excited to see how things go for you, because I feel like there is so much that you're giving to everyone, and there's so much. It's just incredible. So thank you, and I look forward to speaking with you really soon.
Yeah, thank you to Laura. Thank you to your audience, everyone